If you told me that the first time I'd really get to rest after a 6-week undercover assignment would be the same morning 2 fake cops tried to arrest me on my own porch, I probably would have laughed. But that's exactly what happened. My name is Darius Cole. I'm a black federal officer. And this is how an HOA president with a clipboard complex sent 2 clowns in knockoff uniforms to take me in, not knowing I'm the kind of guy real cops call when things truly go bad. That Saturday started like the first deep breath after being underwater too long. No sirens, no radios, no cramped surveillance vans. Just my little kitchen in Oak Hollow, Virginia, cool tile under my feet, old flannel pajamas, and a pair of faded socks my daughter gave me years ago, the ones with stand with those who serve stitched across the toes. I never wore them to work, only at home, like a tiny private ritual between me and her. 6 weeks undercover with cartel runners will rearrange your brain, whether you admit it or not. I'd watched people disappear down concrete stairwells and never come back, buried 4 colleagues in a single year, and somewhere along the way, silence became the only thing that didn't feel like a threat. I tamped coffee into the portafilter, listening to the soft hum of the machine, letting the quiet settle in my lungs. For the first time in weeks, my shoulders actually dropped. Then the doorbell cut through the house like an alarm. Ding dong. I didn't jump, but my jaw tightened. Nobody rang my doorbell on a Saturday. Not here in Silver Ridge Meadows. Not without texting first. Before I could even move, a man's voice barked from outside, loud, stiff, like he'd practiced in front of a mirror. Resident, step outside immediately. I took a slow sip of coffee, set the cup down, rolled my neck left, then right, and walked down the hall toward the door. No hurry. Just a quiet, controlled walk I've used 1,000 times in far worse places. Through the peephole, I saw them. 2 guys in black windbreakers with Community Safety Patrol printed across the back. Mid-30s, maybe early 40s. One had a shiny plastic badge clipped to his belt, the kind you print at a copy shop. The other had zip-tie cuffs hanging off his waistband like he wanted everyone to notice them. Both wore sunglasses even though the sun hadn't cleared the roofs yet. They looked like a cosplay version of law enforcement. And I've seen the real thing. I cracked the door just enough to talk, chain still latched. "Morning," I said. "Something I can help you with." The one on the left stepped forward like he'd been dying to deliver his line. "Sir, we've received multiple complaints," he announced. "Yard debris, improper flag display, and documented hostility toward an HOA board member. You need to step outside." The smell of cheap cologne and energy drink hit me. Underneath that, something else, fear, buried under bravado. "Which department are you with?" I asked. Calm. Flat. He hesitated. Just for a second. "That's not relevant," he said. "If you're watching this, let me ask you something. 2 strangers show up at your door in knockoff uniforms, refusing to say what agency they're from. What would you do?" I looked down at their badges, laminated clip, Art Eagles, no numbers, no names. Toys, not credentials. "You understand impersonating an officer is a felony, right?" I said quietly. The taller guy's jaw clenched. The shorter one's hand twitched toward his zip ties. Instinctively, like he thought he might actually try to put them on me. I didn't move, just narrowed my eyes. "Let me guess," I said. "Elaine Porter sent you." The name tasted like metal in my mouth. They flinched. Just a flicker in their eyes, but I saw it. I see everything. On paper, Elaine Porter, president of the Silver Ridge Meadows HOA, is a community leader, volunteer, head of neighborhood standards. In reality, she's a 59-year-old surveillance addict with hairsprayed helmet hair, a beige pantsuit that matches her siding, and a clipboard she wields like a weapon. Her obsession with me started the day I moved in and hung a thin blue line flag on my porch. To me, it's about the people I've seen bleed out in alleys and stairwells. To her, it was divisive, political, non-compliant. But it wasn't the flag she hated. It was the fact that I didn't bow. I didn't show up to her meetings. I didn't panic when she taped letters to my door. I didn't fear her little kingdom. I looked back at the 2 fake cops, gave them a small, humorless smile, and closed the door in their faces. Soft click. Felt like a thunderclap. What they didn't know was that 20 feet away, crouched behind my hedges, was Elaine herself, holding an off-brand walkie-talkie and a spiral notebook full of violations she'd either invented or blown out of proportion. She wasn't hiding. She was lurking, watching. That's what people like her do best, Call it neighborhood watch, but really it's neighborhood control. Go ahead and enter, her voice hissed over their radios. He'll fold once you pressure him. He's not who he says he is. Inside, I pulled out my phone and opened the feed from my doorbell camera. Crystal, clear video. Crystal, clear audio. Timestamped. The entire street, their fake uniforms, Elaine's voice crackling from the hedge. Evidence, wrapped in an app. I turned the volume up just enough so those two on my porch could hear their commander ordering them to break the law. They froze, confidence leaking out of their faces. And that was the moment I decided this wasn't just harassment anymore. This was going in the file. I didn't shout. I didn't call through the door. I just walked away from it. Down the hall, past the family photos, to the closet by the stairs. I opened it, and there it all was, exactly where it belonged. Untouched since I'd gone under weeks earlier. My duty belt, my ballistic vest, my radio, my credentials, my Glock, every piece of gear that says, in no uncertain terms, this is not a game. People think the moment you gear up is loud and heroic. It isn't. It's small, disciplined, all muscle memory. Buckle. Click. Velcro. Snap. By the time I straightened up, the man in pajamas and socks my daughter bought me was gone. In his place was Lieutenant Darius Cole, Federal Major Crimes Division, a man whose authority comes from statutes, training, and body bags, not from an HOA bylaw binder. Outside, I could hear the imposters shifting their weight, talking low, nerves starting to fray. Just go in. Elaine snapped over the radio again, her voice a little higher now. He's bluffing. For the first time, they didn't obey. Fear has a sound. Hesitation has one too. I opened the door fully this time. No chain. Morning light hit the badge on my chest, sending a quick flash across the porch. I stepped out, closed the door behind me, and let the silence settle. Identify yourselves, I said. Calm. No extra volume. Just steel. The taller one swallowed. We don't need to, he muttered. We're operating under an HOA directive. Then show it, I said. Nothing. Not a single sheet of paper. Not a single legal document. Just two guys in knockoff gear, and the realization slowly dawning that they'd picked the wrong house. You are standing on a federal officer's porch, I told them, my voice dropping half an octave, wearing fake badges, taking illegal orders from a woman hiding in my bushes. That's impersonation. That's attempted unlawful detention. That's a whole list of crimes you don't have the salary to pay for. The shorter one's face went white. We just thought it was a safety check, he stammered. The Silver Ridge Meadows HOA said. I cut him off with a look. Then I spoke just loud enough for Elaine to hear over her radio and the entire street to catch on their phones. You wanted a show of power, Elaine, I said, turning my head slightly toward the hedge. Here it is. I lifted my radio, thumb pressed to the button. My voice went into its professional setting, that calm cadence prosecutors like and supervisors trust. Dispatch, this is Lieutenant Cole, badge number, I said. I've got two suspects on scene impersonating law enforcement, attempting unlawful entry, directed by a third party. Requesting patrol units for immediate pickup. Cameras rolling. Witnesses present. Somewhere miles away, a dispatcher's pen scratched across paper. Somewhere closer, engines turned over. The taller guy actually tried to step back into character, reaching for his zip, ties like he still had leverage. This is out of your hands now, he tried, voice shaking. You still have to come with us. I almost laughed. Son, I said, the last people I went with are going to be in court for the next 20 years. You really want to climb onto that list? He froze, stuck halfway between bravado and complete collapse. I took one slow step toward him. Turn around, I ordered. Hands behind your back. Wait, what? You can't. I can, I said. And I am. You're under arrest for impersonating an officer. Don't make me add resisting to your resume. He hesitated for 2 seconds too long, then finally spun around, hands shaking as they went behind his back. I pulled his own zip, ties from his belt, and locked his wrists together in one clean motion. Gasps rippled from the sidewalk. Someone whispered, "Oh my God!" He flipped it on them. The other man lifted his hands, vest half open now, voice cracking. I'm done. I'll cooperate, man. I swear. I didn't know he was a Fed. Not knowing who I am doesn't make what you did legal, I said. You still put a costume on and tried to intimidate a black man on his own porch because a HOA president told you to. I shifted my gaze to the hedge. You too, Elaine, I said. Out. For a second, nothing. Then the branches rustled and Elaine Porter straightened up, clipboard clutched to her chest like a shield, beige pantsuit blending into the house behind her. Face pale, under two, bright lipstick. I didn't know you were law enforcement, she whispered. You didn't care who I was, I replied. You just cared that I didn't bend. Sirens started to echo down the street, getting louder, closer. Blue and red light washed across freshly edged lawns and identical mailboxes. The real law had arrived. The patrol cars pulled up fast, two of them, engines rumbling. Doors swung open, and uniformed officers stepped out, hands resting near their holsters, eyes moving from me to the cuffed man, to the second suspect, to Elaine standing there looking suddenly very small. I held my badge out, letting it catch a flash of sunlight. Morning, I said. Lieutenant Darius Cole, Federal. Here's what you've got. I laid it out step by step. 2 imposters, fake insignia, attempted unlawful detention, direction from the Silver Ridge Meadows HOA president hiding in the hedges, doorbell video, recorded audio, half the block as witnesses. My explanation was short, clinical. I've given briefings like that in far worse circumstances. Their faces shifted as the pieces connected. One officer, Sergeant Hall, gave a small nod. We'll take it from here, Lieutenant, he said. The tall man was transferred from plastic cuffs to steel ones. The shorter man surrendered his vest and fake badge like they were radioactive. Both were walked gently but firmly toward the cruisers. Then it was Elaine's turn. Ma'am, Sergeant Hall said, did you authorize these men to act as law enforcement? She clung to her clipboard like it could save her. I was only trying to keep the neighborhood safe, she stammered. We have standards. I have responsibilities. He flies that flag. He won't come to meetings. He never responds. We thought he was unemployed. So your solution, I said, was to send 2 strangers with fake badges to my door and tell them to go in. The neighbors finally found their voices. Years of mild fear and resentment tumbling out all at once. We heard you on the radio. Elaine, someone shouted. You've been bullying people for years, another called. The roses, the swing set, the fines, this is who you are. You can't arrest me, she snapped suddenly, last shred of arrogance flaring. I'm the president of the Silver Ridge Meadows HOA. That title, Sergeant Hall said evenly, doesn't exempt you from state law. Turn around. When the cuffs closed around her wrists, nobody cheered. The sound was too heavy for applause. Instead, the whole street exhaled at once, like a muscle that had been clenched for years finally released. By Monday, it wasn't a neighborhood rumor anymore. It was paperwork, charges, docket numbers. Maryland. No. Elaine Porter and her 2 hired patrol officers faced a stack of felonies, impersonating law enforcement, attempted unlawful entry, making threats against a federal officer. The same clipboard she'd swung around like a sword got tagged and bagged as evidence. So did the fake badges and zip ties. At work, my partner Detective Noah Reyes leaned on my office doorframe, waving his phone. Local news wants a statement, he said, half laughing. They're calling it the HOA sting. You could be on TV tonight. I didn't even look up from my report. Let the indictments do the talking, I said. I wasn't interested in being a headline. I was interested in making sure this didn't happen to the next person who didn't have a badge in the closet. Court was where the real unraveling happened. Elaine showed up in beige again, but this time it was a cardigan instead of a pantsuit, a softer costume to match her new script. Overwhelmed volunteer, misunderstood woman, just trying to keep things in order. Her attorney framed her as harmless, frazzled, someone who cares too much. That narrative lasted until the prosecutor hit play on the doorbell footage. Her voice filled the courtroom, tinny but clear. Go ahead and enter. He'll confess. He's not who he pretends to be. You could feel the jury freeze. Feel the judge's patience evaporate. You didn't know he was a federal officer? The prosecutor asked. She stared at the table. We thought he was unemployed, she murmured. He never attended our meetings. He was confrontational. And that police flag, it was political. The flag. The prosecutor repeated, letting the word hang there. That's what made you decide he didn't belong. The judge leaned forward, voice heavy. You hired men with fake badges and plastic cuffs to intimidate a black homeowner on his own property, he said. Because you didn't like his flag or his silence. The gavel came down hard on sentencing day. 18 months in state custody for each of them. Mandatory community service after. The Silver Ridge Meadows HOA placed under court. Ordered oversight for 2 years. Every bylaw and enforcement procedure to be reviewed and rewritten with attorneys and actual law enforcement present. No more community safety patrol. No more cosplay cops. No more weaponizing rules to crush people you don't like. The next HOA meeting wasn't held in a fancy clubhouse with cheese trays. It was in a church basement, folding chairs, fluorescent lights, a court monitor sitting in the back taking notes. Policies were burned to the ground and rebuilt. Verification, documentation, limits, accountability, real words, real borders. As for me, I went back to my life. My cases, my kid, my little house on the quiet street where the doorbell still works and the flag still hangs. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't change the way I look at small power, at clipboards, at titles that were never meant to be weapons, at how fast keeping the neighborhood nice can turn into, let's go scare the black guy at the end of the block. That morning could have gone very differently if I didn't have a badge, a camera, and years of training. And that's the part that still sits with me. So I'll leave you with this. Where's the line between maintaining standards and abusing authority? If you watch your neighbor pull what Elaine did, sending fake police to someone's door because they wouldn't submit, would you step in or stay behind the curtain and film? And when people in power cross that line, whether it's an HOA president or someone much higher up, what does real justice look like to you? Punishment, reform, or something in between?